Okay, hello. I'm Adriana Wilde. I am going to talk to you about video didn't kill the radio star on teaching and learning in the new normal. I am a PhD student here in the WASTE group in ECS, and I'm also a lecturer at the University of Winchester in the Faculty of Business Law and Digital Technologies. I know I gave some of you an earworm just by looking at the video still in the background. But for some of you who are too young to recognize that, here it is. Video supposedly killed the radio star. So what we're going to talk to you about is, first of all, uses of video technology in education and traditional barriers for adoption and how they're being shattered now with COVID-19. And then I will give you a whiz through a taxonomy that we've made about video for education, and maybe think about how it can help you. So please use the chat to, if any of this inspires you to try things, or you indeed have experience in some of that. So why me talking about these things? I've been looking at video for a long time now. So I've been giving talks and doing experiments or pseudo experiments with, let's call it action research with our students, and collaborated with other people who've been doing similar things since about 2016 when I started looking into that. So obviously with now COVID-19, a lot more people have been interested, so been quite active. So particularly this workshop in video for HCI education, we gathered international community and started trying things out, commenting with each other what worked, what doesn't work. And we've been talking about these experiences and how we help each other as tutors and practitioners. And we took this story of how we put together the workshop and community building to learning at scale and so on. But the main thing is working with video is in education is not a new thing. We have been doing this for a long time, and I mean, as a community, we used it for delivering full courses as early as 40 years ago. And in the interim, there has been a growth in maturity for video technology, and it's a lot cheaper and a lot more accessible to do, and to publish, like things like YouTube and other platforms. However, still haven't been used as widely. Main barriers for adoption, for which you may react to, it's prohibitive production costs, like making good quality video will require technology and setup that most of us are not able to have. And the consideration that they are poor substitute for lecture. We have heard through the day that people miss that interaction, miss that non-verbal feedback from students that you don't get through video. And another barrier is the heterogeneity of content and style. You will end up with everybody doing their things in their own way, and that being a barrier for institutions not wanting to adopt video. However, we are now forced to do it. Suddenly we realize actually it's okay for remote teaching and learning. It's not as bad as in the absence of not being able to do it face to face. And also research has informed us that low cost filming and informal settings can affect positively student engagement. You don't really need to have a green room and lots of high tech to be able to engage with video and make students motivated, which is at the end of the day what we want. So let's see how different ways we can use the video. So for this taxonomy, we were considering these dimensions of who produces the video and who consumes it. And seeing the possible different actors that we have for that, we consider students, tutors, and external parties So that will give us some scope of what different examples there are. This is not a complete mature taxonomy. There are other dimensions that you may want to consider, like purpose, if it's commercial, motivational, educational, or what kind of things that you would want the video for, the tone, the quality of production, and so on. But for these purposes, we're going to look at this only. So producer-consumer relationship, when you have the tutor producing and the student consuming it. So this is probably the one we're most familiar with, and we have been doing, especially now in this critical period. And people have to come up with a way of putting their content together and getting some way of getting your mic right and getting your cameras and so on. And there's a lot of preparation going on there, but ultimately is for delivering content and for students to consume it. Other examples are perhaps doing not camera headshot and slides, but could be something like you have videos interlinked in this way. However, many of the things that tutors do can and will be consumed externally, not just by the intended students, but if you put in platforms such as YouTube, you will have other people benefiting from that, consuming that content. So I've just shown here some screenshots from David's YouTube videos. That, as you see, the impact can be quite high. You can have hundreds of thousands of people looking at material that you prepared for tens of students. So that is something to consider in this taxonomy, this use. And also, when the student is the one producing, also may benefit the external parties. And it could be not just for the benefit of external party, but for showcasing or building up the scholarship of the student and making them have a stronger portfolios and become or to allow institutional peer learning. This slide from today, we have when the tutor and the consumers are both tutors in the same institutions, you will have a situation in which you have a exchange of ideas, of collaborations and inspiration of how to make the institution work better, and also just plain communication that we have also been doing. Something that you can refer to later on, and so on. In our taxonomy, when the student is the producer but the tutor is the one who consumes it, it's typically for the purpose of assessment. You may have considered your students to go off and do something for their portfolio, and the evidence is recorded in video, and then that's how you consume it. By the way, all this, when I'm not declaring it, all these are from the chapter that I mention later on, that we basically I'm basing this talk on. So when we have a student producing for students, it could be a way in which you organize a repository in which you have students making small videos that then other students can use to compose. So this example from Newcastle University, they have make this repository in which students just upload little short videos about demonstrating something, and then other students can use those to make another video or to learn from the tutorials that other students have made. So this benefits the both the producer and the consumer from that point of view. The producer has to make a lot of thought of how to make this content in a way that is educational, and then the consumer obviously learn through going through the video. When we have external producers and the students being the consumers is the situation in which we have reusing existing materials out there, for example, Creative Commons materials and other sources. So if you were to use this type of video making in your courses, you will also have to consider whether to direct the students to what kind of sources they want to look at, or assess as well their criticality in the information search and how they assess their good resource to use. But then again, that's something that for completion of the taxonomy is to be considered. When we have external producing for tutors, you could have videos that are for professional development or selection of material for teaching that we often have. Rather than having to make a lecture from scratch, you may find some leader in your field that has already made a video that is exactly on the topic that you need to cover in your syllabus, and then you can use that video and show it to students. And I believe here in the festival we have examples of that process of curation of what students do select. Right, I'm running out of time, so I will have to switch through. So when we have producer and consumers being external, it could be for educational purposes. It could be things like that are not for internal consumptions of the university, but or a structured CPD, but again beneficial, like this example in which we have somebody demonstrating how to flip a classroom. They're not a colleague from Southampton, but we may want to look at that. So who's the ready star in this talk? It's you, the lecturer. So we may better make sure that you don't get killed in the process. So what do I mean with that? Video did not kill the ready star because it gave us tools to be even more prolific than we thought possible. But what I want to pause for thought here, as I replied to Aaron Quigley, my ex-colleague, is that we may get killed by overworking. So we need to look after ourselves and trying to be smarter about our workload in this new normal. So don't think that the only way to deliver video, incorporate video in our courses, is to make it from the point of view that tutor produces and the student to consume it, because there are multiple ways, as we've shown today, that we can do it. So what will you do? Let me know. Looking forward to what you say in the chat. Thank you.